Guys, I want to welcome every single one of you guys to the first episode of Utility Unlocked, hosted by me, BeTheChange, and Caveman. This is going to be a show where we dive a little bit more into utility blockchains and we kind of focus on the long-term investing mindset of this. We want this to be kind of a educational but a fun show where we do engage with the chat and we can show you guys our perspective of what it is we see when we're focusing on these utility assets. Boys, please say hello. What's going on?
Hello, hello.
I was muted. What's up, guys?
Apparently, I can't change my background.
Hey
guys.
Set in. I wanted to be an echo.
I'm excited for this. I couldn't think of two guys who I'd rather share my Sunday night with than you two, and talk about crypto.
All these wonderful people in the chat. What's up, chat?
Hey guys,
Appreciate you guys for being here.
we do. And what? Thank you for the gifts, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you guys so much for supporting us.
Oh yeah. Just to give you a little bit of background, if you guys don't know me by now,
This is going to be something. Yeah.
Making videos and content about crypto, utility crypto, since 2023. I did a lot of research on the subject of what adoption would look like, and developed a thesis. And we're all coming together and seeing how things are changing now in the industry, in the market in itself. It's been a fun ride, and I appreciate everyone that likes and supports the content. So yeah, I met these handsome guys right here, which it's hard to compete, but they make it difficult.
Well, we try. Bully, what's your background? When did you start?
I started with stocks around 2019, I want to say. Shout out to Crypto Cuzzy, because that's the man who brought me in and really taught me the fundamentals and everything that I kind of bounced off of. Shout out to Crypto Cuzzy, because he brought me in. 2019, we got into stocks, and then together we started to dive a little bit more into the space after, I guess, hearing about the 2021 run was kind of when it caught our eyes. And we were jumping in, but we didn't really take this seriously or really, I guess, understand what was really going on probably until the crash of 22. And that was really a moment for us where we had to check our portfolios and say, well, what are we going to do with this? What do we really know what we're doing here? And I would say between 22 to 24 was a time of serious dedication into seeing if we had put our money in the right places. And that was a kind of a real big test point for us, because there was this bouncing back between, okay, well, the influencer's saying this, but this other side is saying this. So it was a moment where we had to find the truth, and really, I guess, during that boring price action, find our convictions in some of these assets. And that's how we kind of found our foundation for becoming an educated investor. So thank God for that boring price action.
Amazing. Love that. We, similar. My background, most of the people know, is a little more colorful. I started off in day trading at a very 20 years ago now. Time flies when you're having fun. I was literally day trading. Someone gave me access to a $4 million portfolio. Not financial advice, and definitely not a responsible thing to do. But I spent literally every single day of my life for the better part of a year and a half, 2 years, trying to beat the markets, and made fairly good money at a young age, but burnt out. So for me, that's not a lifestyle that I wanted to do. I got back into more of a long-term trading as opposed to day trading in stocks. And then we'll go there quickly, just so people know, like, personality-wise, I got into gambling, specifically poker, high stakes poker. And then that probably occupied a good part of like 3 to 5 years of my life, until I realized that that wasn't a lifestyle I wanted. It was literally the same thing as what I was doing before, more or less. And so I wanted to do something positive with my life. I wanted to build. I wanted to actually, yeah, do something proper. So when I came back to crypto, um, for me it was not trying to gamble. It was trying to do the research, do the put in the time, really focus on what I was going to invest in. And for me, it was a no doubter. I was going to go into utility. I was not going to scalp. I wasn't going to swing trade. I wasn't going to day trade. I was going to do the long haul. So that's how I got here.
Well, ironically, I believe that all three of us kind of came to this same conclusion that the entire market is shifting from that retail speculation into institutional utility. And we believe that that's really where the money is going to be pouring into. That's where that institutional, governmental, central bank money liquidity is going to be flowing into the infrastructure. And especially for tonight's episode, I think all of us kind of agree that that's really where HEDERA fits in. I think HEDERA is designed to work with the system, and that's why you see so many big names involved with it, right? You got Google, IBM, Dell, Boeing, LG, even a couple of banks in there. But hopefully you
Santander.
guys, when we do dive into this, hopefully you guys take at least one thing new from this, and have by all means, guys, please become your own critical thinkers. Throw questions in there, challenge the narratives. We can only present what we see. We could probably go on for hours about this, but I find that there's no need to spend 3-4 hours on one particular project. Change. Would you like to add?
No, I mean, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, we just, need to look at it from the personal aspect, right? Like what our thesis was based on utility, right? And that's real world utility and understanding where the token value actually comes from. So, we'll cover, the basics. We'll cover the partnerships, and then we'll cover some of the things that are leading up to what looks to be positive in the direction for these utility assets. So Hbar actually is really interesting in some of the things that they've been doing over the last decade, and let's not downplay it. I mean, they do have an ETF, so and probably many more.
Would you
They
like
have at
to?
least
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
no worries. Well, the ETF just launched October 28th, right? I think first day was, am I right in saying 8.5 million? And then first week was like 44.5 million in inflows. It was absolutely, I mean, it was no Bitcoin, but it was definitely something, um, not to write that, that was impressive. So yeah, I'm a big fan of HBAR for sure. Hey guys, before we start to running into it, I just want to say one thing to the chat. Guys, if you can share this live out, likes, all that fun stuff, get as many people in here as possible. The three of us believe big time in utility. So like, if that's something that's important to you guys, it might be important to somebody else. So please share that, hit that like button. With regards to like your questions, if you want to share your questions, put them in chat. I'm going to write them down at the end of it when we start to wrap up. I'm going to ask the guys your questions. So please participate. This is for everybody. It's not just for us three to talk. Take it away, boys.
I'd like to start off with explaining what HEDERA is. So, at the very fundamental, blockchain, right, guys? You have your Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, even Solana. They use something called the chain-based consensus, meaning that all the transactions kind of get grouped into the blocks, one after the next. And then it finally starts to form a very long chain of data. It works, but we've seen that it starts to become slow. It's limited. There's problems with scalability. And that's why a lot of these chains is you pay a lot of big fees or there's a big wait time for finality. But HEDERA comes in and they do something very different. HEDERA does not use blockchain. It uses something called the hash graph consensus. And essentially that what it is it's basically gossiping. That's essentially how this works. The nodes on the network are kind of sharing small pieces of information with one another until every node finally agrees, and then they can actually go on to the next. So by the end of the chain, there is no game of telephone with one another, and that's why HEDERA is very different than a lot of the other consensus models, is because it's efficient. It has the ability to tell within fractions of a second what data on those chains are actually truthful and which ones have been compromised. And the result of the way that HEDERA has their consensus is you have finality very quickly, 3 to 5 seconds. I believe they say 10,000 transactions per second. The fractions are the fees are fractions of 1 cent. So this is the actual performance of the chain. And this is kind of why it's pretty attractive to enterprises, because when you're moving billions of dollars or you're tracking maybe supply chain data on it, you don't want to have issues with lag or probability or scalability. You need that speed. You need a way to know that when I get that information, I can trust it. I can actually trust in the code. You want a network that's fast, and basically trust is really what they're running on. So that's really the difference between your traditional blockchains to where HEDERA's consensus model does come in.
Yeah, I completely agree. Change, you want to add anything?
Well, I mean, from the perspective of what we're talking about here, I think it's it's important also to note when it was released. We 2021, 2022 didn't perform well at all. Okay, so but again, the reason why this particular token is designed for a specific purpose, and that purpose would be in the full adoption scenario. So this is where we focus now on real world utility payments, the accessibility of institutions, and then what this will look like potentially in the future. Hbar has been really paving a way, kind of silently even. They're not as loud, the community strong in and itself, but I would say XRP and Ripple and some of the other tokens take a lot of the marketing.
Yeah. Guys, I want to go back to like hash graph, okay? And guys, for people in chat or listening, I'm gonna push on these guys in these conversations. I want to act as your voice because I want to make sure that we all leave here understanding what we have been talking about. So when I say the words like hash graph, what I mean, I understand the gossiping, and although I find that a very interesting term, um, what makes hash graph so special opposed to blockchain?
So when we talk about gossip, right? It's gossip after gossip. That's what's different within the HEDERA system is that no node can choose the order, right? It's not like one block has to finalize before it can move on to the next one to verify that information. So no node is choosing that particular order of data that's going through it. What ultimately declares the information at the end of the chain is correct is the network. It's not necessarily the nodes, but it's the entirety of the network. So when you have these node operators, like Google is a node operator, IBM is a node operator, they can't actually alter the documentation of the nodes. There's a mathematical sequence within the consensus that ensures that the node validators that are operating that data on the hash graph is fair at the end of it.
Change?
I mean, For me, it's the hang on one second. Um, no, I've got nothing else to add. I mean,
Okay.
he covered it.
There
So
is,
you mentioned
and
nodes.
I might have to get a little bit more technical into it, and I don't want to lose people, but
Feel
we've
free.
talked
Feel free.
about gossip, but there is something as well in here. If I can try to find it, right? You got Hashgraph is a data structure that records who gossips with whom, and in what order. But you also have the Byzantine Agreement Protocol. So
Hmm.
they also included that into it as well. And basically, it's just another level of security to ensure the consensus of it. Basically, it means that if the network ever goes offline or if it ever is corrupted, that they can still come to the agreement of the data that was recorded on the blocks, let's say. They can still come to the consensus. It's basically just like fault proof tolerance that's built into the technology. So when you combine those two, that's when it starts to become very attractive to your institutions or your banking or your central bankers, because I think that it ends up becoming to a point where you can have this transparency of all of these distributed means of coming to this consensus. They don't want to rely on, I guess, they don't want to rely on that outdated means of coming to that consensus, and that's something that maybe Hedera really shines out. It's basically, without getting too deep into it, it's basically just a means to provide that data, that information that's fast, it's fair, it's secure, and it's scalable
And efficient.
and efficient. Absolutely.
And yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier nodes. Go ahead, Change. You want to say it for something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's fair, but you're good.
All right. So you mentioned nodes. I don't want to set you guys up for something here, but I want to ask you: are you aware of how many nodes there are? Because this is something that's a bit of a bone of contention with a
I
lot of
don't
the
know.
crypto community. Okay.
I don't know.
So
Change. Do you know?
all right. Then I'll say it. The governing council currently is what controls the nodes. So there are 39 members of the governing council. There are 39 nodes that are being governed, like that are governing everything, that are doing all the hash graph. Um, this is something that people have had a hard time with because they're literally calling it centralization, right? Just specifically, let's be honest here, corporate centralization. Literally, and in the crypto world, I think this is like you and I were the three of us were talking earlier, right? And the one of the things that we thought would be really interesting about this show is that the ability to the governing council, correct, the ability for us to really have this conversation that we people are probably wanting. um how do you guys feel, not what you're reading, how do you two feel about corporations governing probably a pretty important technology
I
in
mean,
the
for me,
crypto space?
it's no different than the centralized world that we live in, right? So we look at who the governing council is: Google, IBM. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? We can name the 39 of them, but if you're going to utilize their system, it's going to be centralized to that platform. So in theory, for me, it's decentralized in a sense, but you've got to understand that it's decentralized to the top 1% of these companies, and these are companies that are, you would assume that the governing council might even increase and grow into that network.
Me? Yeah, so this is kind of where we might have a difference of opinion, and as funny as that is, I mean the facts is the facts, but I guess it comes down to the definition of decentralization. I do believe that the governance council does make it decentralized, and we can even see on the screen. If I come over to the white paper and we go into the governance council, right, the term of governance ensures that no single council member will have control and no small group of members will have under influence over the body as the whole. So yes, we do have, I believe it's 30, how many members are in here? 29, 30, something like that. We do have a large member of some of the top Fortune 500 companies that do give their influence to how they want everything to be run. But when it comes down to it, is this, where am I? When it comes down to it, I think that by definition, decentralization means that you don't have one entity to control it. So yeah, maybe it's not that, of course, they have the stake in a majority of it, and it's maybe we could view this as centralized, but within the people that are actually making the decisions, no one entity within here can actually move forward without the consensus.
Now, the good news is that there is a plan to actually have more nodes, and it will actually be quote unquote decentralized. So there is a plan from the council to actually open this up for everybody. So it is in the works. So interesting.
I'm not informed on that. Can you talk to me a little bit more about what it is that they are planning?
Literally what I just said. So like the nodes, which are hence the control, they are going to be opening it up to the. I mean, at first I imagine it'll be other companies, but the plan is to open it up for the public, so you could actually run your own node for HEDERA. So it is something that they are working on there, but yeah.
So I will tell you this, that some of the things that they are working on are micropayments, stable coins, stake tokens. You've got supply chains. So I think Hyundai tracks CO2 emissions from their suppliers as one of the use cases. You've got RWAs too as well. So anything that it has value, inherent value, that's a real world asset. So I'll just, keep it easy, real estate, investment funds, bonds, etc. So they're already using that technology, but you would have to think that once regulation and the market structure comes out, then there will be an onboarding of a large degree.
Yeah, Hedera is one of those chains that really does everything: AI, payments, RWAs. One of the big partnerships that I've always kind of paid attention to with Hedera was their partnership with WorldPay. WorldPay already handles transactions for Visa, MasterCard, and millions of other businesses worldwide. They basically are moving the money between the buyer and the merchant and the banks that are settling behind it. And WorldPay, I believe, moves. Let me double check myself before I actually give out a number. But whether it's payments with WorldPay or AI with NVIDIA and Intel, or tokenization with Archex. I mean, they're really. We usually say when you have these blockchains that are focusing on a utility, they necessarily like to focus on one lane and try to dominate that. But Hedera has kind of jumped into multiple lanes, and we usually say don't spread yourself too thin, but they've seemed to find success in each and every single lane that they've jumped into.
Yeah, and if you want to put it on the screen too, Bully, there's a Web3 ecosystem applications on their page. Scroll almost all the way down to the bottom. You can hit View All, and it's just HEDERA.com, and that will allow the audience to see how many things are actually being built and are currently integrated. So one of the first things I noticed right off the bat was someone said it in the chat there: Bank Social, Acme Labs. We've got Citadel Wallet, the first Hedera native hardware wallet. So there's about 7 pages of information. There we go.
Looks like duty, boys.
Make it
I
larger.
gotta get better at this.
Control scroll.
Yeah. In and out. Be patient with me. I'm learning.
Be the change. Be patient. All right, I will. Flying saucers.
That's a little bit better, right?
Sure.
All right. So what are you seeing in here? Talk to me, Change.
Well, you mentioned WorldPay, right? So for me, the thing to think is that there's some pretty large organizations built on this. Vera is another one. It's a nonprofit that standards in environmental and social events. It's a pretty large project. I've looked into that one before. The point is that there are use cases that have been developed and are already functioning with Hedera. Can't see it, bro. It's too tall. It's too small.
Is it too tiny?
It's
It's very
tiny.
tiny.
Is that a little
Tiny.
bit better?
Yeah.
I just went through 7 pages and nobody saw nothing.
Nobody said anything. Let's look at their AI. They've got Equity Labs creating tools for responsible artificial intelligence. Someone mentioned DEXs. Let's look at DeFi here. Chainlink. Look at that. Alliance Block, Blade Labs, Hashport. We've got ZoneX, which is a comprehensive tokenization solution that revolutionizes real world asset management. Looks like it's focused on real estate.
This is another one, Chainlink, right? They do have integrations with Chainlink, and that's absolutely something that when we do focus on interoperability, utilizing Chainlink's CCIP, just having that plugin is very important.
100%. Alrighty.
Hey guys, just so you know, I am writing down your questions. We will address them once we're finished what we want to do here. Can we? Thank you for your questions, by the way. I
Yeah. So
appreciate
the
it.
point is like, this isn't like a random thing, right? It has jobs. It's working. It isn't speculative. These things are happening, and the 4 real functions here are every action on the network there, transfers, token mints, data logs, uses Hbar, securing the network. Holders stake their Hbar to help verify transactions and then earn rewards. Obviously, the apps that are built on HEDERA, like supply chains and finance projects, will need the hash graph to operate. And then Hbar fees prevent spam and keep the network stable and predictable. So it's the fuel in a security deposit and the ticket to entry, all rolled into one.
Guys, this is an awesome website if you do want to jump in here and just kind of explore what they have been keeping up. Now, I know that within the governance council, I believe that they do rotate these individuals out, so it's not like they can secure a position in here for long term. They do rotate all of these names out. Can we talk a little bit about what HEDERA is doing with NVIDIA and Intel with Equity Labs for AI? Because I think that this is really exciting. Let's see if I can set the mood, light a candle for you guys.
What part are you trying to go into?
NVIDIA and AI.
So, HEDERA and artificial intelligence coming together. Guys, everyone's paying attention. We know that AI is coming in. This is really kind of something that benefits from DLT technology. We don't necessarily know exactly how these AI models are trained, where they get necessarily where a lot of the data comes from, or whether or not we can verify it. But that's just one of the things that blockchain can solve with AI is we've seen it through one of the recent partnerships with HEDERA, Equity Labs, NVIDIA, and Intel. So they came together. They partnered with HEDERA to verify the compute, basically verifying the data that the AI is transacting across the large language models. So every input, every process, and every output of that AI is basically utilizing HEDERA to verify the records, so that there is no second guessing. And I even think that they had something with Dell. If I could try to find HEDERA and Dell. Did they join the was it? I don't believe they did the was it the maybe it was just the I thought they were doing something with something outside of the so they are running a HEDERA node.
It would make sense.
I thought they were doing something with AI with Dell.
Yeah, the Equity Labs and NVIDIA did the verifiable compute. The project is what you're looking for.
Yeah, guys. I mean, these are big names. You know, NVIDIA, Intel, Dell. You got Google, IBM in there. There is a reason why a lot of these enterprises are turning to HEDERA to integrate in with it. And I think it's as clear as ever that HEDERA is becoming this trust layer for this digitization, for this new digital era that we are witnessing. And AI is just one of the many integrations that Hedera can kind of solve those friction points. But there's a reason why you're seeing some of the biggest names out there turning to Hedera.
Man, these guys are putting down some crazy questions for you guys.
There's so many that are coming through. So
Great job. Hey, but I was just going to say,
yeah.
guys, this is really a conversation that the three of us are having. But if you're in chat right now and you feel like you know that answer, we want this to be a conversation for everybody. So feel free to I saw some people answering questions before. I'm watching, I'm writing them down. Feel free to add to the conversation.
Now, I want to jump into something that I believe is pretty important, which is compliance and the interoperability aspect of it. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is really not a very good source for it. It's really not. I'm sorry, but it's really not. But basically the whole aspect of it is just talking about how they can integrate in with DLT technology. Now, a lot of people see this and they want to get triggered. A lot of people see this and they want to get triggered. But there is actual a fine line that we do jump between DLT technology and compliance. Compliance basically means that you're following the rules. Okay, there is no stamp of approval or that you got this ticket that says, "Hey, look what I have." Whether it's financial laws or banking standards, regulations, any of it, it's just that you have the ability to follow in with the rules. So if the banking sector is following some of these particular standards, well, guess what? A lot of the DLTs are following those standards as well. Without the DLTs having that ability to follow these standards, you probably are not going to have that plug-in to a lot of these sectors. Hedera, on the other hand, is from day one kind of really focused on compliance and having this focus on regulations. Now, ISO 222, right? Don't focus so much on the word compliance. Focus on how the network can actually integrate in with the data messaging standards. Is it compatible with the same way that the banks want to transact with those financial messages? When you look at SWIFT or any of the banks, any other payment networks around the world, they are aligning themselves with the standards for ISO 222. So whenever a financial entity wants to upgrade themselves into a digital version of it, Hedera from day one has the ability to plug in. They have the rails that can actually transact those those financial messages in there. So don't focus so much on the thing of standards or compliant, but it's the ability for them to actually plug in with this new upgrade to the financial system.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out to all of the other creators that are in here supporting us. Thank you guys for being here. Jahi, give him a follow. Crypto Cali, I know you're in there, boss. We got Rico and a couple of other OGs. So appreciate you guys for being here.
Sarah.
And definitely, if you're new, give them a follow. It's a really good point too, Bully, because the first thing I was thinking of, well, if their entire ethos as a company is compliance and regulated, then I would assume that so are those major businesses looking at the top 39 in the governing council, right? So for me, when we look at how this token gains value, as we see from its original drop to where it's at today, it obviously saw a huge spike this past November. But this is all before regulation, so inherently it could have been a lot of hype that brought this token up. But does that hype die, or does it actually grow more because we start going into things like regulations and the things you're talking about here with integrating in ISO, which seems to be an incredibly popular topic in the crypto space when it comes to utility tokens?
Yeah, I think Hedera from day one has been designed with compliance in mind, right? Even like you mentioned, the governance council, you have these regulated public entities, these huge Fortune 500 companies. So all of that is they are moving onto this new digital era, and there has to be a means for them to actually plug in and for it to, I guess, not only just meet the standards and the laws in the United States, but this is on a global scale. Compliance is very important when you talk about having some of the biggest names in the Fortune 500s, whether it's NVIDIA, Intel, or even payment processors where you have Swift, Bank of America. It doesn't matter. All of them are they all have their own means of standards, whether it's ISO 222, ISO TC 307. You got MICA, you got the digital assets framework even in the United States. So there's multiple standards and multiple standards that are abroad, and some assets will fit into some of them and some of them won't.
But what about the token supply? There's not that. There's still a huge circulating supply.
We could get into that. Yeah,
Well,
Caveman.
okay. Yeah, sure. First of all, someone mentioned tokenomics. It was a question. I'm not sure who it is, guys. I didn't write down your questions, or who said it, but it said, how does this affect tokenomics, right? That's one of the FUD that HBAR had. That's one of the things that people hated, that they front loaded in the bear market on everybody. But what you didn't realize is that they needed to raise capital so that they could fund the council. They needed to actually create a war chest so they can make their projects adaptable and the people actually starting to work. Yes. Oh, people could start to actually use HEDERA. And now we're starting to see the fruits of their labor. Of the 50 billion coins that were minted, pre-minted, I think it's like 42 or 45 billion are already in circulation. So that dilution, that inflation that we experienced, that is more or less done with. So that, I know people always want to say when moon.
I just want you guys to know that because of this particular show with 124 people in it, the government is reopening tomorrow.
Yes, ETFs, baby.
Yes.
ETFs, regulations.
Are they really?
Yes. The U.S. government has reached a deal. The Senate reached a deal to end U.S. government shutdown. Politico.
Well, fuck it. Let's change the subject then.
All right, let's go. Season. I got to pump it up.
That is amazing. I'm okay. I'm stoked. Hey guys, just one thing, and we really should have begun the show like this. In no way, shape, or form are we trying to convince you to buy HBAR at all. We are simply telling you that this is a utility project that the three of us think it's worth speaking about. And yes, the three of us are invested in it, but that means nothing, because I promise you, we are going to talk about other projects that I don't have anything to do with, or that he doesn't like, because it's important that we start talking about these conversations, that we discuss things that are actually being built, that are going to do something for this fintech world that we're all in. So you do not have to buy HBAR. Please don't, unless you feel like you want to, in which case, have at her. Sorry, guys.
So back to tokenomics, because that's what we were talking about here. So Caveman, continue. I'm sorry, I distracted you.
Tokenomics, yeah. Okay, so I talked about them front loading everything. I talked about them in the bear market, which really didn't do anything for a price, and as a result, it has been pushed down. Do you guys have anything more you want to say other than that?
Did you talk a little bit about the unlocks?
Did I talk about the unlocks? No, I didn't.
Okay.
You're referring to someone actually mentioned it.
Yeah, so it's to avoid supply shock.
Correct.
They do a scheduled release of tokens.
Somebody did ask if HEDERA was deflationary. There is a burn, but you probably won't see a huge impact until you have that full supply actually out there. Now, the Governance Council can take votes to see if they can increase that burn rate for it, but it definitely could be more. is what we're saying. It definitely could be more.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think if I missed anything on for you guys. We kind of. Do you guys want to talk about the WHO?
The World Health Organization.
It's funny. We could talk about them too if you want, but no, like who is the project? When did it start? Like,
Yeah,
the
we
things
could.
we should.
I said I don't want to fucking hear about them ever again.
I mean, yeah, I just because like I think it's important that people understand where this came from. You know what
Go
I mean?
ahead. Take the
Is that,
stage.
is that, is that okay? All right.
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, I got notes here for you. I got notes. You can't see them, but I'm gonna read them so that we all are on the same page. 2015 to 2019, tech came first. That's really important for I think everybody. This was not a token that was created with the intention of selling it. It was literally creating the technology, which the guy who started was this guy named Dr. Lehman Baird. He parked the IP, WEF, yeah. And then in 2018, Hedera Hashcraft became public. They gave the exclusive license to this company called Swilds, and this is when people started getting a little bit like on Hedera Hashcraft, calling it too corporate. But what they didn't see, and what people still have, some people get hung up on, is they didn't want a miner to control. They didn't want a miner cartel, you know, mining cartel like in places like China, for example. They wanted a governing council. And this is why they created Hedera the way they have. The main net came online, as we just talked about, with 50 billion HBAR pre-minted. And then yes, Change just talked about it. There was and so did Bully. There was a delayed token distribution. In 2021, Council set up aside 10.7 billion HBAR to create an independent grant, and this was really created to accelerate HBAR's use into DeFi, NFTs, gaming, CBDC pilots, things like that. A bunch of people moved around in 2023, and then the Apache 2.0 gave it open sourcing, which is massive for the project. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that before I continue? No? Okay. 2023, hiccups were had for HBAR. The attacks hit the DEX LP tokens on Hedera. I don't know if a lot of you guys were around when that happened, but when the DEX LPs were attacked, HBAR literally shut that shit down. Like, I mean, locked it down. They patched everything, which is good and bad. It's good because, okay, we can fix it, but it's bad because now everyone's like, well, wait a second. You guys can just shut it down. Like, we can lock this down. And people did have a problem with that. 2023, 2024, the HBAR unlock FUD, as we just talked about, was rapid because people didn't like the treasury unlocks. This is something we hear a lot about in our lives, right? Sell pressure in a bear market was crap. 2024, they cleaned up the cancel. It was less to make it less heavy. And in 2025, and I think this is where I think people, for me at least, yes. Okay, for 2025, this is when people get a little bit muddy because they don't really know what is it Hedera, is it HBAR, is it the council, is it the governing council, and this is just to clear it up for anybody who doesn't know. They put it all under one banner with two names: the Hedera Foundation and the Hedera Council. That is it. They serve two purposes. And then in October 28th of 2025, obviously we just talked about the ETF that just went live. Which one was that again? Was it Canary? I think I wrote it down. So give me a second here, guys. Hey, chat. Was it Canary? Yes, it was Canary Capital. $8.5 million day one. $45.9 million inflows in the first week, which is insane.
Now they also have the 21 shares, but that's only in Europe right now. Um, but I would imagine that that would also occur in the United States, like it's
Yeah.
normal.
Grayscale's filed a spot ETF, and Rex Offspray has like a basket ETF, including HBAR. Um, I mean, I'm hyper bullish on this project. I understand the price.
I was going to say, here's a couple of other things that we didn't even cover. So Swarm, which is launched on and built on Hedera, is DeFi compatible for tokenized stocks. Apple, Tesla. You've got the Archax Fidelity International for the USD money market fund that is built on Hedera. Then you've got uh, what was the last one here? Oh, we talked about it already. I mean, the AI stuff is massive. Equity Labs, what they're building with NVIDIA is some serious stuff.
Let's not forget massive news coming out from the middle of fucking nowhere, Wyoming. Wyoming coming out
Totally forgot
and
about
saying
that.
we're going to develop this government issued, the state issued digital
Stablecoin.
dollar. I think they're calling it Frontier, right? Frontier token.
Yeah.
Basically, what it's saying is that we're ready to move money on the chain, and we trust Hedera to do it.
Crazy. Yeah. I'm
Is also serious. Yep.
100%.
Another thing was Hedera with the University of London. They basically did like a study to test how Hedera can handle CBDC interoperability. So just between those two examples, you're kind of seeing governments and institutions that want to actually come together and say, "Hey, Hedera could be the actual platform for us to build that institutional money, whether it's CBDCs or a state issued stablecoin. Hedera is out here doing it."
Yeah. Right.
100%.
I mean, I'll go back to what I was saying to you guys earlier before we came on live. For me, when I first looked at HBAR, I was like, man, this thing could take over everything. Now we all know now that it's going to be the network effect. It's not going to be one coin to rule them all, but it literally has everything going for it, including Saucer Swap, which is their DEX. Um, how do you feel about Saucer Swap, if any opinion at all?
Tell me about it.
No, that's my question. I mean, I know the Crypto Cali's in here. Yes, I'm bringing it up for you, brother. Um, Callie was the first person to actually introduce me to Saucer Swap on the live, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Um, the fact that Hedera, because I don't think people, when I said at the beginning, when we're going through the history, that it was about the technology, it was really intended for messaging. Like that's what it was for. It wasn't meant to move value, right? So it needed a DEX. And because of the grants that we talked about earlier, because of providing the, unfortunately, piling onto us, but taking that money and then developing projects like now having Sausage Swap as a DEX, I think that's massive. I mean, you in this day and age, any projects that don't have the ability to move value and also to have messaging going back and forth, I think you're dead in the water. Personally, that's how I feel about it. So I think it's essential to the success of this coin and the project.
I mean, you got to think about too in a completely interoperable world. I mean, the fact is that you're dealing with the mechanics of it, right? They're not just saying this is the one thing that we're focusing on. They're doing a whole lot of different things, and I think the Chainlink partnership, it kind of solidifies that, right? Chainlink has got like 45, 50 partners, something like that. You've got Hashport, which we talked about. That's your sidechain did Polygon and Ethereum, and one of the things I found out from early on when I was looking into RWAs was they were partnered with Tokeny. And Tokeny is a really, really nice resource for people that are interested for tokenization infrastructures all across the world. So there's a lot of things that they've been doing. Like I said, almost kind of silently because Bitcoin and XRP and Chainlink and just the major ones usually capture a lot of the attention. Doesn't mean that these aren't important things.
I think the way that HEDERA kind of approached Saucer Swap was they had this longevity perspective in mind, and it's something that we could prove, right? When HEDERA jumped into DeFi, they did it properly. It's fast, it's clean, it's reliable. It maybe just set up a way for these institutions where they might actually want to jump in and provide liquidity, right? You got staking, you got farming, all of the liquidity programs are something that adds value to the ecosystem rather than just dumping the tokens. And I think that the way that they actually built it was with longevity in mind. This is probably an environment where the institutions might want to provide liquidity into. It's long-term infrastructure, maybe. I think that they built it right.
And I'm going to go like this to both of you because I didn't even know, even Callie, nobody told me about Saucer. So I'm learning just like the rest of the chat. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have anything else you want to add? Or you want to start talking about the questions?
Have at it.
Let's have at it. Swing them.
All right. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in chat right now. They built HEDERA for corporation utility. In every way, shape, and form, I agree with you. Okay, so the first question comes from, I don't know who. Sorry, guys. I'll do better next time. I'll have more paper. Do you think we have bottomed out for a while?
Have we bottomed out for a while?
Regarding HEDERA itself. So do you think we've seen the lowest prices possible for HEDERA? You obviously know we're gonna have price questions.
Yeah, so this is the difficult one for me. I mean, I was getting involved in Hbar in 2023. I did full port into basically every ISO I could get my hands on. I think in some cases prematurely not knowing even really what the tech was and the vision. I could see it, I could hear it, but did I take any more time into it? No. But we saw a huge jump back in November, and this was something that didn't do anything, right? It had a little bit of a peak. It started moving, I remember, in 2024, and it was getting some traction, and then it just retraced back down to where it was normally. And here we are today, and it hasn't gone back down to those points since literally a year ago, almost right now, right? Because we're a year into this thing already. So do I think prices will go down? It's going to be difficult for me to say that. I mean, we're looking at what's going on with Bitcoin. Losing traction, dominance, and then we're back at 60. It doesn't want to dip below past that 589 that I love talking about. And if it does, it doesn't stay there for very long. Bitcoin's back at 105 right now. So be wary sometimes of the Sunday pumps. But this should be bullish going into tomorrow. So I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't know.
Ollie?
Yeah, price is definitely something. It's definitely a sticky road. Look, it's really nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, nobody knows. There could be a global catastrophe that happens, and it could send us
Hope
back
not.
down to the 2023's price action. Ideally, when you kind of do look at the longevity of it, like what could this thing be worth in 5 years? That's always, I think, my perspective. 5 years and beyond. You have to look at the fundamental growth of the network, right? You got stable coins, you got institutions coming on, they want to deploy. I mean, even the DeFi, not the prettiest, not the prettiest, but it is up and to the right. It is moving in a particular direction. I feel comfortable, for me, knowing that we can track and do the homework and to see the growth of the network, to feel comfortable that whether it's 17 cents or it comes back down to 7 cents, probably, in my opinion, by 2030, with just the way that everything is moving, I don't see it being worth less. Not financial advice, but I think that it just comes down to critical thinking, right? You got stablecoins, institutions coming on, you got the ETFs coming in. At what point do you sit there and go, it's going to go the other way? I think it just comes down to critical thinking. But guys, at the end of the day, if you're asking me, is it going from 17 to 7? I don't know. When I think of what could this thing be in 2030, could it go from 17 this way? I would probably guess yes. It's probably going to go that way. And I would be alarmed if we didn't track the adoption. I would be alarmed if we couldn't prove that institutions are coming on and developing and building on there. If there was no growth in the system, then I would probably say, is it going to increase in price? I don't know. I can't tell you why I think it would. But we can see that the ecosystem is growing. So only one would think.
I think this is a perfect throw to BeTheChange, because what he's about to say is probably something we're going to repeat over and over and over again. Change, what do you feel about what is the number one thing that in your opinion, that utility coins need in order for potential price appreciation?
Laws, Clarity Act, the Digital Market Structure Bill, which now that the government is opening up should be order of business, at least if you've been paying attention over the last 3 weeks like I have. There's been, even though the government hasn't been open, you've had lots of kind of like a media blitz a little bit. They've been talking, I mean, you had the Swell event, you had the Chainlink event, you had all these different things going on to kind of keep us talking. But really, at the end of the day, it's been, I mean, Paul Atkins was just interviewed, I think, yesterday. You have Trump, who's talking about injecting $20 trillion into the market by the end of the year. With all of these deals, you've got all of these things happening. And when it comes to crypto and blockchain, we are still in an unregulated space. It's getting positive. It's the best, that it's ever been for crypto. But we have to watch for what the market structure bill will look like and what these digital assets will be classified as. Are they securities? Are they digital commodities, etc.? The only thing that I'm paying attention to is the regulations, because that will give us clear insight on what it is that we might be holding on to. So yes, it was a layup for sure.
Done.
Look at the smile on my face. What an answer. What an answer.
100% right. All right, let's get back to these questions, okay?
Guys, we're pumping Hbar apparently.
You're welcome, everyone. Did WEF mention Hbar? That was a question from chat.
I'm trying to remember back to that PDF that we deep dove. I think HEDERA actually might have been involved with writing it.
I'll pull it up. Hang on.
Yeah, they might have been one of the contributors to that actual documentation. I'm not sure that they were mentioned by the tech stack, but I believe that people from HEDERA were contributing to it.
So you guys, we're gonna put them on the spot. Don't worry. And while we're looking for this, I'm just gonna say this, guys. While we'll answer these questions. If you have any more, feel free to write them in chat.
I've got the answer.
All right, I'll
The
continue after.
answer is yes. They are listed in the partnerships. They have contributed to multiple reports, one of them being the Metaverse Identity Defining the Self in Blended Reality. The chief policy officer authored the digital finance interoperability paper that's published on the World Economic Forum. So I would say that, yes, they have a very large involvement.
Okay. Next week, if you enjoy this, we're going to be back at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Blockchain Bullies Live. It is called Utility Unlock with obviously BeTheChange. Follow him. You're obviously following Blockchain Bully, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And then myself, CaveManFantasy. It'll be 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We don't have a subject as of right now for next week. So if you want us to talk about something, put it in the chat. Whatever you guys, and by something, I mean a utility project. Let me be very clear here.
Fartcoin?
I mean, I like farts. Who doesn't? So, second question. No farts. Can we? Oh, we already talked about Sasha Swap. That's good. Can you clarify, which I think you already did, what DAG is in reference to the hash graph? So I'll probably take this one. It's the digital acrylic graph, I believe. You guys are
yes, I believe that sounds correct.
It's not acrylic, but it's I forget how you pronounce it.
Acrylic. Oh, acrylic is nails, right?
Let me see them before you answer that. Put your hand up.
No. Nothing like that. Can you look it up fully?
Huh?
Do you want to look that up? DAG for hash graph?
Yep.
What the definition is? It's part of the consensus, right? It's actually how it Jay Heat loves this. Sarah loves it. All right. I will also be your comedic entertainment. A cyclic.
I would have pronounced it acrylic as well.
There's
no R in there.
Just saying. Continue.
Not to be confused with DAG Constellation.
Correct.
Also a military project, fishy.
So it's a fancy term for a web of connected events that always moves forward in time. That's what DAG means. D is direct. Every connection point is one way. Oh my God, I can't say it. Acrylic. No loops or circles. Information never goes backward, and it's the graph, which is made of nodes and events and edges, connections between them. So instead of a chain of blocks, you have a network of events that happen simultaneously, like a spider web rather than a line.
This is what makes it cheaper, right? You're not mining these blocks. Chad BJ. That's why he laughed. Hilarious. Okay, what part of the consensus mechanism does HEDERA focus on? I'm pretty sure was Jay Heat. Just so you know who's trying to torpedo you right now.
No, I know. That's why I shout out all of the creators that were in here.
While you're looking for that, guys,
these are good
an easy
questions.
One. They are, and guys, we appreciate this. By you guys challenging us, we'll only get better with our research and what we're going to be doing the following week. So we do appreciate this. Somebody asked, I'm not going to name any names. You know who you are. How many Hbar should we have? Can I answer this with a different question? Because I will, anyways. You have the opportunity, should you choose, to be at the beginning of something that we've talked about in depth. in certain depth that is literally partnering with the top 1% companies in the world who have already established very serious connections with governments, with other companies. I mean, it's cheap. Guys, it's 17 cents. Can I ask you a question? What do you buy for 17 cents a
That's
day?
like the taxes on something I get at the gas station. 17 cents
I
tax.
have nothing.
That's you can buy a lot of Cobb salads for 17 cents.
You couldn't even buy a leaf of lettuce for 17 cents.
So,
So is
yeah.
HEDERA hash graph or HBAR more valuable than a slice of lettuce? I think it is.
To quote Bully. So you got to do. I think you listen. You have a finite amount of resources, money. So you have to figure out which projects you want to be in, and don't overextend yourself. That's the most important thing. So whatever amount you think you want to allocate, if that is something you want to do, have at her. You don't answer the question. That's literally me answering the question.
Normally he doesn't. Yeah, and just to give you guys an example, like one of the things that helped train my mind in this was needs versus wants, right? I got the things that I needed, but there was things that I wanted, right? And then let's call it a new pair of shoes or one of the 100 winter jackets that I have. But back to the consensus mechanism after this. But I have 100 jackets. Do I need? I mean, I'm in Chicago. It gets cold here, but I got a bunch of jackets. Every time I'm in the store, I see a jacket, $50. I'm like, nope, Hbar, right? Like I'm like, nope, XRP, nope, this, and that just helps build the bag over time. Now, granted, we are in a moment where you could have been doing that for years, but let's say you're fresh and you're new.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen what a regulated space looks like. We know the history, and the history is that it's been unregulated. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was a wild west, so to speak. Maybe the fact that meme coins can just launch and people can get rugged and all of these, like the FTXs of the world and all of this stuff. But there's literally been a heavy focus from all of these companies that developed all of this technology to implement it one day. So, just consider that. We're about to head into the part of the story where it is uncharted, because once we have the Clarity Act and there are regulations, and then the United States injects liquidity into it because it's protecting investors and all of these other things, and you get the utility from it all. I mean, what do you think could happen? But the consensus mechanism, it's what Bully literally led with. The core focus is the gossip about gossip and virtual voting. So, Jay Heat, you were late to the show. But in plain English, each computer node randomly talks to another node. Shared gossip, we talk to whom and where, why this matters. It creates a shared map of the entire conversation so everyone knows the same info, and it is fast. Really, really fast. I think Cosmic said it's fast as fuck, boy.
The other thing too is I believe the nodes, they predict what the other nodes would answer, and you can't have a malicious node. That's another part of the system that's pretty crazy. So
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that
that.
is. I don't know what the fuck that is. I can just read it. I can read about it, but
I will settle for that. Okay.
yeah, if you could get something out of that, I mean, huh.
The consensus triangle. That's amazing. Okay, let's move on. If you guys don't have any other questions in chat, if you do, put them in now. Otherwise, this will be the last question. Guys, explain the process to move HBAR into a cold wallet. Oh, no, there's another. Sorry, I have another question. So let's start with that question. I Actually, you know what? That might be a little more harder. So one of you guys look at that question. Change, I'm going to ask you this question because I think this one's more geared to you. How does ISO messaging correlate to price appreciation? You kind of already touched on it, but maybe you can expand.
So let's get this clear. No crypto can be ISO compliant, or no specific crypto project is built and is ISO compliant. However, there are projects that knew about this incoming upgrade. I mean, I feel like I've been talking about this for years now, but they've been planning a system upgrade to the messaging, and it's been a long time coming. You have certain projects that have put their core focus on being able to be interoperable with that messaging, right? To work, and they would be positioned as something that would work well within that system. So again, we don't see that happening now because we don't have regulations. We don't have the full blown the power's on. They're using it. These companies don't have to worry about getting in any trouble. And we're still at this phase right now where it's still up in the air. They have something that's already gone through the House and will reach the Senate floor potentially within the next few weeks.
So let me ask you the question again, as if I'm crypto machinery. ISO messaging. Will it increase the price?
I don't talk to that person, so
You're talking to me.
will
Yes.
it increase the
Stick
price?
it to
I mean,
'em.
yes, the utility. Listen, the utility for itself, yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. If these networks are being utilized and they're using this function, and it's transacted through banks and SWIFT and the network alike. I was talking to Bully not too long ago. There's thousands of ISO messaging standards that serve different purposes. The particular purpose for the ISO 222 notion is for payments. And since we're talking about fucking payments, yeah, I think they're going to fucking grow in value. Thank you, crypto machinery.
I would disagree. I don't think that I don't think when November 22nd, is that when it is? When I don't think on that date, I don't think we're gonna have like this massive
That's not the
God candle.
question. That wasn't the question, though,
Yeah.
Caveman. That wasn't the question. The question was if it wasn't if on this date is it going to increase, but is it going to increase because it's ISO? And the answer is yes, it will. If the ISO standard and it kind of falls in conjunction with the Clarity Act and the Market Structure
Correct.
Bill and all of these things. So, to be fair, it's been a speculative topic for a really long time, but it's because we were talking about coins that didn't do anything, and soon they will do something in the United States. And when that does happen, I hope you have a full understanding of what that means. Does that mean that only DeFi will explode and only ISO tokens will explode? We don't know because we don't know what the market structure will be. But as soon as we do, it might be a different story.
I'd like to give my input on it. Just because something is ISO aligned doesn't automatically mean that money's going to flow through it. That's not what it means. Please, guys, don't expect November 22nd to have this boom of price on your assets. It is a big day. It is a big upgrade to
Massive.
our financial system. It is a new global messaging standard that allows banks and payment systems and central banks to talk to each other digitally. Now, the fact that you do have particular assets that are built to connect directly with that financial system, it does open the door. It doesn't force them, but it is the opportunity for that network to actually move that money. So when we talk about ISO 222 compliant, compatible, whatever it is you want to say, all that it means is that these networks can speak the same language. Okay, whether it's transaction data any of that. It just means that we can speak the same language as these regulated payment systems. And that is a big deal because not every blockchain can do that. Not every blockchain can do that. So does that mean that automatically there's going to be a huge price appreciation for it? No. But over time, it positions Hedera or some of these other assets to attract more institutional settlement volume. Not because of it has a stamp of approval, but because it was built for that compatibility and that integration with traditional finance from day one. Plugging into the systems that already move trillions of dollars every day, those, and we see it through the adoption. These financial infrastructures are looking for compatible rails. They're looking for these compliant rails. Hedera already speaks that language. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's automatic price appreciation, but it opens the door for Hedera to sit at the same table as Swift or as MasterCard or Visa. So that's really what we're trying to explain to you guys, is it doesn't mean automatic price appreciation, but not every crypto can do it.
And I want to get back to Hedera because that's what we're talking about, not just the ISO. The triangle that Jay Heat was talking about, it's looks like it's the holy grail of blockchain. So you've got speed, security, and decentralization. So with Hashgraph, you're using math, not mining. That's how you keep both speed and security without compromising at decentralization. We talked about the military grade security. And so when people talk about this, enterprise chain is what you've heard about Hbar, that'll balance the triangle, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It still sort of wrestles with that, at least from what I can find on what the consensus triangle is in your in what your question was asking. Hopefully that answered it.
Mark, I'm going to get back to what you just said, Mark, okay? Thank you, Change. Appreciate that. Bully, did you look up how to get Hbar on a cold wallet?
Yeah, so there's a list of cold wallets. If you do go over to the Hedera website, you go to wallets and custodians. They'll show you what's supported, what's not. Personally, I use a Ledger, and I also use a Decent wallet. That is the cold storage wallets that I use. And in the simplest way, when you open up Decent Wallet or Ledger Wallet, you will create an application for Hedera, right? You'll create a spot for Hedera. In there, you'll have the ability to send and receive Hedera in there. So let's say you would open up your Decent Wallet. You would click on Hedera after you created it, and you would press Receive. It will give you an address. You copy that address. You go over to your exchange, your Coinbase, your Uphold. You click on the Hedera that you buy and is sitting in your exchange, and you want to send it out of Coinbase over to your Decent Wallet. So when you open up Coinbase, you're going to press Send Hbar. It's going to ask you, where am I sending it to? Well, you're going to plug in that receiving address, receiving Hedera Hbar address that you got from your Decent Wallet or from your Ledger. So your exchange is sending it out, and your wallet is receiving it. Now, there is a lot of YouTube videos to do it safely. I believe Clay has a business to do it. Maybe that's something you guys want to look into. But this is kind of a scary thing for a lot of new users, is like they don't want to lose it or send it to the wrong place. So I understand that. Me personally, and I've been doing it for years, I still send a test transaction, $5, before I send the full thing. So that is just maybe a good little tip, is don't send the whole thing all at once. Make sure that you send a little bit and then check it. Okay, I got it, so I know I have the right address. But YouTube is going to be your best friend for it. Another thing in the wallets is that they have the hash pack. Now this is a way. I guess this is a way for you guys
that used to be something I smoked back in the day. To continue, sorry.
Hashpack is just a way that you can they have staking. It's really shit. It's really not much, but For some people, they don't want to have their assets dormant. So this is definitely a means for you to, let's see, Kabbalah, I don't know, but Hashpack is definitely one of the trusted ones. It is a means for you to earn a yield on your sitting HEDERA, waiting for that price appreciation in the further date. I don't believe that the APY is very good on it. It's maybe 1%, but still, it's something.
Yeah, and it's obviously going to be important for you guys to look up your compatibility on the wallet that you have. Everyone's got a different one. Everyone has different preferences. So just make sure that it's a supported wallet and go by your, normal step-by-step guide. Ledger does happen to be one of, I think, the most popular, and it is obviously supported.
I'm not going to lie. This has been a very good discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. Guys, before we sign off here, do you guys have any projects you want us to talk about next week? I haven't seen anything come through chat. If you don't give us anything, we're just going to choose one.
You missed it because they were flying by.
Really? Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
It was
sorry.
a long time ago. But put it back in there.
Chat, put it back in here.
While they answer this, Caveman, there was a question I'd kind of like for you to answer.
Absolutely.
Somebody had asked, let's see if I can find it. It really wasn't too far up, about stablecoins, how they could position themselves properly with stablecoins. Okay, they said, we know stablecoins will be a big thing in the U.S. Damn it. I lost it. How do we know that we can benefit, position ourselves to benefit?
Sorry, say that again. I was reading the chat.
The question is, we know stablecoins will be a big thing in the U.S. How do we position ourselves to benefit?
I'm literally creating a video right now about all of that. Stablecoins have a purpose, multiple purposes. They are not going to solve a couple key factors in finance. One of the things that they're not going to be able to solve is the need to give. So I'm trying to how to explain this. In order, if you have a fiat currency, which is currently USD, if it is going to be the world reserve, then there is a demand across the entire world for USD. And you have to keep supplying it. And there's only two ways you can do that: with government bonds or by buying shit from other people in exchange for USD. Now, that creates problems at home. And so we're constantly combating that. Stablecoins aren't going to be able to address that situation. They're just not. They're great for moving money if you have proper liquidity pools. But when it comes to the more stablecoins there are with different countries who may not be on par with each other, who may not have solid reserves, who may not, or different brands, because let's be honest, every brand is going to try to do a stablecoin. These are all things that need to have some sort of bridge asset. This is not a conversation that's going to go where you guys think it's going to go. This is just talking about stablecoins. So for stablecoins, yes, it has its utility, 100%. And you can definitely earn yield, and you can definitely do other things with stablecoins, but it doesn't affect something like Hbar. Hbar will have its purpose as well. What do you guys feel about
that? Look, I think that you're starting to see stablecoins start to get deployed on many networks, right? Ethereum hosts a lot of stablecoins. You got Stellar, the XRP Ledger. Sure, you're starting to see stablecoins come on to a lot of these ecosystems. Essentially, all that it does is it's just another avenue that can provide liquidity on that ecosystem. So maybe if you want to position yourself for stablecoins, pay attention to where USDC, what chains USDC is living on. Pay attention to what chains, some of these stable coins are going to be brought onto. And all it does is it just opens the door for liquidity to flow through utilizing that stablecoin in that ecosystem.
Yeah, and we have to realize too, I think you can't have a stable coin without the blockchain, and the network itself is going to benefit regardless if they decide to use exclusively stable coins for payments. You still have transaction fees, you still have burning of the tokens, right? So there's a lot of things that are said about stable coins, but I also like how when you look into some of the individuals that talk about stablecoins, that gives the legal on ramp for the money to flow into the systems themselves. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to take away from HBAR or XRP or even in Ethereum, right? It's something that it kills speculative coins, things that are not really doing anything. It will dominate and hopefully help bring more traffic to the networks themselves. And the more traffic in the utility world gives more value.
They're good.
That's a great answer.
Gentlemen, XTC, ZVEC, XPR, Chainlink, Aave, Ethereum, and Crow.
We'll announce it.
Sounds good.
What was it?
Those are the front runners. I'll send
He's
it
got
to
it
you in
written
chat.
down. Yeah. We'll announce it.
Ooh, I like C too.
Write that one down.
We got a lot of things to cover.
Hey, luckily for us, there are 52 weeks in a year. So guys, if you like this, and man, 155 of you, that's amazing. Appreciate you all being here. I think we all do, seriously.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
This was born out of the idea that, well, actually, Change, you say it. Well, what, actually, both of you guys say it. What was the reason for this show? For you? Like, what was it, and why was it so important?
Go ahead, Bully. You made a whole video on it, so.
I think that there was a necessity for this. I think that there's a lot of awesome analysis out there, and there's a lot of great chart readers, and we can give you guys awesome recommendations because that's their strong suit, and they're very good at it. But we have strong suits as well, which is the research, the fundamentals, the infrastructure. I believe that there is a lot of long-term investors in this market, and a lot of the people who are maybe presenting the utility, the adoption, the infrastructure, they're kind of doing their own thing, you know? So I felt that this was a great place for people to come together where they can get the opinions from three people, all three of us, right? We have the same perspective that once institutional money comes in, then certain assets are going to benefit more than others, right? We kind of share the same thesis. And I believe that a lot of you guys do as well. But all three of us, we have the same beliefs, but our skills, the way that we approach it, are very different. And I think that as we came together and broadcasted our perspective on this tonight, it was so powerful. It really was. It was so powerful. There is a lot of long-term investors who obviously are listening to us because they see what we see. They see institutions coming in. They see certain assets are being adopted more than others. So it had to be done. Somebody had to do it, and here we are.
Change?
Bang! No, I mean honestly, guys, we're all friends. We like to. Everyone in here supports the community. The different topics that we discussed. You guys have been around for the last year. I mean, literally, it's been a year, and since I've been going live this cycle, and it's amazing, really, the community itself. But yeah, each person does have a strong suit, and like to keep things fact-based. Obviously, we have to speculate in some areas, but if there is speculation, it'll be provided with, hey, yeah, they're talking about NVIDIA partnership. Well, let's take a look at the documentation. Let's fact check that. Is it real? Yes, it is. Okay. Well, the only thing that we can deduce from that point on is hey, we'll see if this works out in their favor or it doesn't. And doing the research sometimes is a lonely job, right? But I found many friends that do like to be mini detectives and try and find different things. We've got a really cool Discord if anybody wants to get involved in that too as well. Literally all day long is just articles, things. You listen, it gets busy. You got family, you got things going on. You wanna recap. It would be a good place for you guys to check out. So a wonderful discussion, and everyone here that participated, thank you so much. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So and that's really the whole point is to provide the information, and ultimately you can only control yourself. So none of this is financial advice at all, but what we're looking at is talking about how potentially these this utility and this use case of all of these projects will materialize, hopefully to our benefit.
If you guys do want the link for the Discord, you can message me. I'm going to update it so that the link that's in my bio will be permanent, but as of right now, I haven't done that. I'm sorry. But yes, you can message me. You can do it right now. When I get off of the live, I'll go through my requested messages, and I'll send you that link. When you get in there, say hi. Jump into the crypto channel and say hi. It's not my Discord. This is our Discord. This is all of our Discords. We're not. It's absolutely free. We're not selling nobody nothing. We just want a community where people could ask questions. You can get answers to them, and then there's a really awesome research tab in there where you can search up XLM and you can find articles and everything that we talk about with Stellar. So it's a really great way to filter out good and bad information.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right, that's a mic drop for tonight. You guys did a great job. Thank you for bringing the alpha. For me personally, it's so important to see through the weeds. It's so important to see through the weeds. And am I the only person that doesn't have a hat? Wait a second. 1 second here.
Come on, bro. Hey, Bully, that's pretty nice, I gotta say.
Yeah, here we go, baby. Crypto nerd.
We're going. Oh, Bulls, let's go. The guys from
Chicago.
Yeah.
So guys, this is Utility Unlocked. We are going to be here 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Next week, however, Bully is unavailable. So who knows? Maybe we'll bring on a third person, a random. Special guest. Exactly. So we'll discuss what we're going to cover next week, and Bully will be back the following week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I think next week we're probably going to do it on BeTheChange's live. So if you're not following BeTheChange, click that button. Follow him now. I'm CaveManFantasy. Our host with looks like a dork, blockchain Bully.
The genius.
I love that hat.
He's not. That's the hat you get. Well, listen, that's the grand prize.
Oh yeah.
When you're getting Cobb salad.
If you want.
Yep. If somebody ever opens the door when you're delivering for DoorDash and you see somebody with this hat, you just know that they got something going on behind that door.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. 134 people in here. I'll go through and just say thank you guys for being here. There's 150 of you guys. Bully, you want to go through your give your little shout outs? I see so many people that we see on a normal basis, but it's always wonderful talking to you guys.
Yeah, this was fun. We weren't sure if we were going to have a structure, we were going to freestyle it, but I think we just found our motion. And thank you to everybody that was commenting. You guys had awesome, really great questions. You guys were reading the chat as we're going through this. You made it fun. You made it engaging. Shout out to all my moderators. You guys are keeping the scammers out of the chat, keeping the fake accounts out of the chat. You're letting people know who are the real accounts to follow. Everyone that's new, welcome. This is a really great community to be a part of, and there's a lot of growth to have it in here. Everyone that's returning, hopefully you guys learned something new. And you guys are welcome to critically think our perspectives. We welcome we absolutely welcome that challenge of thought process, because only the people who tell the truth don't mind being questioned. So look, I really appreciate everyone. We got over 200,000 likes. A lot of new people came in, guys. Thank you so much for being here. This community would be nothing without you guys. Hopefully, you guys learned one thing new.
Yeah, and I myself, listen, I don't stand to think that I know everything. I mean, I learned about saucer, so that'll be something that I added to my deck of things to look into. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know everything, guys. We're learning here with you. I definitely learned some things tonight as well.
It's amazing. All right, boys. We'll see you guys next
sick.
week.
This was sick.
Thank you
Good
very
night,
much.
guys.
Have a good one,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Thank you for
night.
the gifts. Thank you for the shares and likes.
Utility
Thank you.
unlocked.
Unlocked.
Unlocked.